Here is my indirect percussion device. It's a 2x4 which I hold across my lap. A lever, an arm, and attached to the end of the arm I have my billet. It's attached to the arm with some inner tube rubber that's wrapped around. So this way I can change billets very easily from a copper bopper to antler to anything else. And I'm using a big hunk of showy bottle brush, which is an extremely hard wood, as a hammer to hit the indirect percussor. And I'm going to protect my hand with a glove. Here's the ridge that should guide the next flake I'm going to take off using percussion. That took off more than I wanted to. Here is the end result. You can see the ridge that I was trying to follow, and I hit it way too hard, and so this all came off. But the principle is there. So here are two more ridges. There's a ridge. And there's another ridge. So I won't hit it at quite such an angle next time. Here it is looking from a different direction. Maybe it's a little bit clearer to see what I've got. Here's a ridge, and here's a ridge, and I'm hoping that I can get those ridges to guide the next flakes. I'll do a little bit of abrading on the platform that I'm going to hit, because they're pretty good platforms. They're pretty much at the right angle. I'm going to brace my hand against the 2x4, the base of the indirect percussor. And I won't have, before I ran into trouble because the angle was too steep and the flake drove into the piece. My next attempt I'll have a much less of an angle between the percussor and the workpiece. Here are the two ridges that I'm going to try and have guide the next percussion flakes, here and here. And the platforms that I'm going to hit are already at a pretty good angle. And this time, in order to keep the flake from overshooting, I won't hold the piece at such a steep angle, but I'll have it hold it flatter like this. And that took off a major part of that. And I'll go on to the next ridge and see if I can get something off there. You can kind of see the angle I'm holding the piece at, and I'm pushing it into the percussor. So there's a pretty, it's pushed up against the percussor, and then just give it a hit. And that came off. Just a little piece here. So I consider this to be a pretty effective way of doing percussion flaking. The use of indirect percussion means you don't waste a whole 2 cubic yards of material just learning how to hit very accurately. Because by indirect percussion, you can put the percussor exactly where you want it to be and then apply as much force as you want to just by hitting it with another hammer or something like that. So this I consider to be a great way of doing percussion thinning, because you get really good control